A while back, worldwide Jesuits were celebrating a great anniversary of St. Ignatius, the founder of the Jesuit order. And so they were all gathering at Loyola, the little town of Loyola, in the Basque country of Spain. And so they were coming from all over the world and gathered there, and it was kind of a big event. And so the media, of course, got a hold of it. And so they sent a reporter there, and the reporter found, he wanted to find a local woman, a local grandmother. He found a grandmother who lived there locally, and he wanted her reaction. So he says to her, puts the microphone in her face and says, what do you think about all these Jesuits from all over the world gathering here at the little town of Loyola? And you could tell from the look on her face, she was distinctly unimpressed. And she said, oh, the Jesuits, they know everything, but that's all they know. That should get a bigger laugh even than that. They know everything, but that's all they know. And I think that says a lot about our gospel, about Mary in our gospel. For who is the Mary in this gospel? Well, she's not, Jesuits, they are people with all kinds of education, and they're called to intellectual rigor and scholarship. But Mary, that's the way the Jesuits know. That's the knowing of the Jesuits, is in scholarly expertise. But that's not the way that Mary in the gospel knows. So how does she know? What's her knowing like? And Luke tells us so beautifully, it's the knowing of a virgin. She's about 15 years old. She's a young woman. And Luke makes it clear that she's a virgin. And you know why he does that? Because in that culture, this is what that means. She doesn't belong to a guy. She doesn't belong to a man. She does not. She knows in the way of a young woman who does not belong to a man. And so the way that Mary knows is, let's say she's in a darkened room with a little candle and she's praying to God, and she has opened herself to the unknown of God to such a degree that she is free enough to be who she is for God. She's not there to be the person that people from the outside say she has to be. She's free from that because she doesn't belong to anybody. She's free from that. And she's free to be the person that God calls. She's free to get her identity from how much God has put his finger on her, touched her life and said, I have a mission for you. I have work for you to do. And that's where she gets her identity. As the person who's free to say yes to the calling of God. That's what that's how Mary knows. She's the virgin who doesn't belong to anybody and who has the freedom then to look in the face of the unknown and to say a yes that will change her forever and that will change everything else forever. She has the freedom. She is the expert at having the freedom to say yes to God, because she is saying yes to becoming the mother of God and the mother of all people. And the thing that Mary knows maybe better than anybody else is how to be a person who's free to respond to God's call. That's what she is an incredible expert at. And from time to time, this woman appears to people. And interestingly, she has never appeared to a pope. She's never appeared to a Jesuit surrounded by his books and his scholarly study. She has never appeared to a politician. She has never appeared to a rock star. She has never appeared to an internet influencer. She has never appeared to any of the great and powerful and mighty of this world. but she does appear to Juan Diego, now Saint Juan Diego. And so on that hill of Tepeyac in the Mexico Valley in 1531, on December 9th, she first appears to Juan Diego. And Juan Diego is, of course, a nobody. It's 10 years in to the bloody conquest of the Aztec Empire. And as far as they're concerned, he's nobody. He's a farmer. And they're taking over his culture with violence and repression. People who disagree and who resist are murdered or sold into slavery. And their cultural ways, their dances and their songs and the wisdom of their ancestors and their life ways and the wisdom of their culture is being systematically destroyed by the conquerors. That's where Mary goes. That's where Mary appears. Because who is Juan Diego? Juan Diego is a person who has the same freedom that she does. He's free enough to say yes to the job that God gives him, which is to go and tell the bishop that he has to build a church on the top of that hill. And he's free enough to go on that mission, even though he's pretty sure he's not going to get listened to, because he's not a big, high and mighty somebody. And he has to go back a couple of times and eventually goes back with the miraculous vision, with the miraculous image of the Virgin imprinted on his tilma from the flowers, from the petals of the roses. And what he does is exactly what the Virgin Mary in our gospel does. He makes it possible for people, for indigenous people, the people who are being robbed of their culture, he makes it possible for them to say yes to God in their own way, with their own dances and their own songs, because she is one of them. She appears as the dark virgin with a sash around her middle that says that she's pregnant. And she speaks the language of Saint Juan Diego, Nahuatl. She's one of them. She appears to them as one of them. But she brings the same message that she's always had, which is be free enough to answer the call of God in your way, according to your culture, according to your songs and your dances. Be free enough to say yes to God, not from a way that is imposed from the outside, but in a way that comes from the heart, from your heart and the heart of your ways. She's the expert of being free enough from all of the outside people who want to create her into something. She's free enough to say, yes to God, and to find her identity as the one who says yes to the ways of God, to the project. She's free enough to free herself so she can be transformed, so she can work for the transformation of everybody else. And so that's what Mary is always, that's what the Virgin Mary is always saying to us. And that's what Our Lady of Guadalupe, the Dark Virgin, what she always invites us to, what she invites all women to, and what she invites all indigenous people to, and what she invites all people of Central and South America to, and what she invites all people everywhere to is be free enough. Get yourself free enough to say yes to the call of God, to what God has called you to in your way. Not in the way that somebody else says, but in your way. Are we that free? So let us come to this table and this altar with that prayer that God will make us free enough to say a yes to his project for us, that will change us forever.